All right, you guys, next week is Teacher Appreciation Week, and I just picked up this book called The Teachers, which I think follows like 3 teachers through the course of their year, in like 3 different teachers all throughout the course of the year. So I thought during Teacher Appreciation Week next week, I would read this and I would say, like, is it true? Some of the stories that they have shared, do I connect to them? Have I experienced similar things? All that sort of stuff. Now, just to clarify for a little bit before you get too far into this video, if there's anything like negative that I connect with, I will not talk about it if it's for my current school. I'll only talk about experiences that I have had previously, because the truth is I'm freaking in love with my current job. I have so much freedom to teach in the way that I want to teach, which usually involves like crazy games like playing hockey during math or playing D&D during reading or math. Or what else do we do? We just do like random stuff. Oh, escape rooms. And so I like the freedom that I have in my current job to be creative. And so, yeah, for obvious reasons, I'm not going to say anything negative about my job. Although if there's anything positive that I connect to in the book, I will definitely share. Okay, so it's editing me like a week later, and I realized that I have this whole clip of like this amazing concert sort of situation that I went to last weekend, but I didn't really talk about it, and it was so amazing. I could talk about it forever, but I'm gonna try and be brief. Basically, it was called Rooted in Michigan, and it was just celebrating a bunch of people from Michigan, while also asking the question about what our roots mean and how we can be rooted in different ways. So basically, the reason that I decided I wanted to go is because May Erlewine, my favorite singer and songwriter ever, was performing, and I haven't officially met her. I discovered her during the pandemic because she was having concerts from her home, and she is such a warm, down-to-earth, like loving human being. Like, you can just tell instantly that she is someone that you just feel drawn to, and I love her music. So anyway, it was my first time seeing her, but I was like making the line at the door. Like, I wanted to be front and center, and I was. But basically, before that, there was time to kind of look around, and we went to a gallery before that. Like, my mom and I went, and we took turns holding our space in line, and there was this absolutely beautiful gallery that I'm so glad I went to. This woman named Ruth Crow had been journaling since like the 70s, and created this exhibit where she had all of her journals hanging on the wall, and had these kind of guides that you took as you went through the exhibit, and they would share a little bit about what was happening in her life, and basically told the story of her life, and summarized various parts that showed up in the journals. And she would pair each story of her life with a song, and then she created an art piece that paired with it, and I will link it below because you can view it online too, although obviously it's more amazing in person. But oh my gosh, just the life she lived. She talks about growing up in Michigan and not fitting in the way her family viewed her, definitely knowing that she was different, and how much pressure there was for her to act a certain way, dress a certain way, and even however much she tried, it was just never enough. And just discovering that she was a gay woman, and then it kind of follows her into college and actually being able to live like at home with herself and just fully be herself in college, and all the stuff that she encountered as a result of that. And then just going beyond college, she was in the LAPD for a while. She was in the Army for a while. Just like her life has taken so many interesting twists and turns that she talks about in there. She also was a victim of violence, which she also talks about in there as well. And it's just like this absolutely beautiful life just put out on paper for everyone, sharing her story, but then also pairing it with art and with music and everything. It was so amazing. And then the performance started, and it was started by this man named Kelly, who did spoken word poetry, almost bookmarking the whole event. So at the beginning and in between acts and stuff like that. His poetry is also online, I believe. Well, it's not really, I shouldn't say it's poetry. It is poetic, but it's just spoken word. And it's also online on Spotify. You can hear everything that he's created, everything he's written. But he is a trans man and just talked about his experience transforming into the person he is today. And it's hilarious and it's powerful. And like, I'm so grateful that I got to hear his perspective on life. And then we had some women up there. I'm not sure what it was called, like a story circle or something like that, where basically they would take turns performing a song, but first they would tell you a little bit about it and kind of tell a story before they played the song. So that was beautiful. And then basically May wrapped it up with, before May, they had Ruth, the journalist, or not the journalist, but the woman who wrote journals. She was interviewed, so you could kind of hear about her process and about her life and all that sort of stuff. And then was May, the person I was there for. However, she was amazing. Like, I'm so grateful. But I went only for her, and I discovered so many other people that just really touched me. So I'm super glad I was able to go to this event. Okay, it's Monday. I'm about to leave for work. I thought I would do a quick little check-in on how I'm feeling this morning on my way to work, because this is going to be kind of like a week in the life of a teacher situation. And I'm feeling a bit like discombobulated and unorganized, and like a bit of just like, I don't know, a bit scattered because I worked all weekend. So then last night I wanted to relax. I'm just feeling like I didn't get a lot of my weekly prep in yesterday, and so I'm just kind of like throwing stuff together this morning. I haven't had breakfast yet, like all this sort of stuff. But I'm hoping that after work today I can like catch up, like clean my apartment, do all my prepping for the week, even though it'll be like Monday night, and just like feel more organized and ready to start the week. So I'm on my way to work. And the first thing that I have going on is a parent meeting. We are required to be at work at 8:05, and actually the parent meeting is at 8 o'clock. But essentially I teach 6th grade special education, and so that's the last year that's in our building. So they're gonna move to the middle school next year, and we just wanna make sure that like everything that we're doing on our end is matched with what the middle school is doing, and that obviously they do things in different ways, but we just want to make sure that we can have the smoothest transition for kids possible. And so this is just like a one-on-one meeting, just with one parent, and I guess it's not really one-on-one because the middle school team and stuff will be there, but we're just going to try and talk about this one student and develop a plan that makes sense for a smooth transition for him. Let's do this thing. Okay, so it's 3:35. I'm gonna head home. I actually ended up only working my regular job until lunch, and then I had to sub for another teacher, which normally at a lot of schools, like the special education teachers are pulled to sub if there is not a sub because there's like a huge sub shortage right now. In my district, I'm super lucky that special ed teachers are never pulled to sub. This is my first time this entire year being asked to sub. And basically it was due to a family emergency. So like I definitely would want to help out my friend. So yeah, anyway, it ended up being great. I was in their first silent reading, so I got to read with the kids. Then we did math, which is my favorite thing to teach in 6th grade, which I know sounds weird because like you would think I would like teaching reading more, but anyway. And then the kids worked on a writing project, and now it's time to go home. So I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna organize my hot mess of a life and prep for the week so I feel a bit better about the week ahead and just feel more organized. Scratch that. It's like 25 minutes later and now I'm leaving the building. I just got like caught up doing stuff. Anyway, it's raining. It's a good day, I think, to clean my apartment and get caught up because it's gloomy today, but it's supposed to be super nice the rest of the week. So then I'll have a clean apartment and just like have time after work to go outside or do whatever. It's going to be amazing. Okay, it's me freshly out of my bath in my onesie pajamas here to talk to you about the teachers because I started it in the bath tonight and I just wanted to share my thoughts. So far, I am on page 37. Okay, so initially, before I even began it, I was curious about the author. Her name is Alexandra Robbins, and I just was reading about her a little bit before I started reading this book just because I want to know like who the story is coming from. And she is a journalist, an investigative journalist, which I love. I love reading books by journalists. However, because this is a book about teachers, it's something that's like super close to my heart and super close to what I know. And so I was just curious and still am curious about how she is going to tell the story versus how a teacher would tell the story and the things that she is choosing to bring to the surface and to share based on her observations of 3 teachers over the course of the year, and what maybe a teacher would find in the observations and stuff like that that would rise to the surface for them. So the 3 teachers are a 4th grade gifted teacher, a middle school special education teacher, and another teacher, I think high school, I can't really remember what grade, the third teacher taught. But anyway, so far, one of the things that has been discussed is that teachers have summer off. And I should say, actually, before I talk about this, that the book is split into the months of the year and starts in August. So it is covering this 4th grade gifted teacher and how she had her summer off. And having summers off is something that people comment on a lot for teachers. So here's what I will say. There are a lot of teachers that actually work the entire summer. However, they work for free because our salary only covers the actual days we work, and we are unpaid over the course of the summer. Now, for many districts, they choose to split our paychecks up evenly so that we technically get a paycheck over the summer, but it is for time we already worked. We do not get paid on the days that we are off during the summer. So it is like basically that we have a 9-month paid position with 3 months unpaid every single year. But the teacher in the book, she was working the whole summer, getting ready for the next school year and going to professional development and all this stuff. And there are obviously some teachers that are forced to do that by their district. And then there are some teachers that I think the sense of just being a teacher is such a calling for some that it becomes part of their identity, and they just feel like this burning desire, this call to always be learning and growing and improving and all that sort of stuff. And I used to be like that, but I have discovered for myself that when I take the summer completely off, not thinking about school, not doing any schoolwork, only having fun, that I come back the next year so refreshed. And I have taught summer school before, I've done daycare before, I've done all sorts of things like that, and I start the year drained. So I need the summer completely off, mentally off from school, physically off from school, etc. I do work because I think that something that comes up later in the book probably is that oftentimes teachers are so poorly paid that they need to have side gigs. In my case, I think my side gigs are just to give me more fun money. However, I've also been teaching for, next year will be the start of my 15th year. And so it's taken a while to get to the point where a side job is fun money versus essential money. But yeah, that's personally how I feel. I need my summers off because the job is just so intense during the school year. So one thing I do want to mention before I keep reading is just the tone of this book. It's the evening, right? And like I've been at work all day. So to read a book about teachers is in some ways not really giving me a break tonight. But the other thing, which I'm not really sure how I'm feeling about, and it's kind of hard to explain, is this idea that there's a lot of improvements that need to be made in education, and teachers really could benefit from a lot of support improving certain aspects of their job, and we definitely need to advocate for ourselves and all that. But so far this book has been very, very negative, and I think that a lot of us go into education knowing the pay is going to be low, knowing, some of these struggles, and while it's like we need to continue fighting for them, I just feel like this book is kind of like dragging the mood down, I guess, and like just being like really negative, and kind of complaining a lot when like I think you need to make change from a more positive mindset and like still be really excited about teaching while also being fiercely motivated to change. Now the book is hitting very close to home, and something that I already mentioned today was basically internal subbing. So we have loads of people in the community who say all these things about teachers, but aren't willing to sub if they're available. And we have a shortage of subs. We also have a shortage of teachers. And so there are a lot of times, especially during COVID, but like just in general, when you have so many teachers that are out sick, either for themselves or for their family members, that you physically cannot get enough subs to cover their positions. What that has meant for me, and remember I'm talking about previous jobs, I'm only trying to say good things about the job that I currently have, but I was a special education teacher in a school, and I would come into work and I would almost like avoid answering the phone or anything or check because you knew like when you would walk in, like there was a huge percentage that you would get pulled to sub. And it was just like so horrible because everyone deserves an education, right? Students going to school deserve to be educated. However, students with special needs, we have a legal document that tells how many minutes of instruction they get, what we're working on, like all this stuff. It's like, it's legal. It's like in writing, and it's very important that we follow that specific plan. And so when we're pulled to sub, then the minutes that our kids are supposed to get with us are not being met. And it was just so frustrating to be in this district where every day you would go in and not know if you were going to be able to do your job or not. And it's not fair to the kids. And like, I think that they were always bummed about it because they were so excited for whatever you were going to do in your class that day, that it doesn't make them feel good when they can't see you because you're subbing somewhere else. And then also it impacts their academics. And like, the thing I think that made me the most upset was that was in a district with low income parents that didn't have a lot of education. And I felt that we were taking away special education services from people that couldn't fight back. Whereas if I was in a more affluent district Number one, we would probably have more subs because we would have more like stay-at-home parents that might be willing to come in and sub. And, you know, we're pretty good at it because they had like experience and college degrees and a lot of like life skills. But I felt like if that had happened there, the parents would not put up with it and they would file due process for their child not getting their minutes met. And because we had a population of parents that either didn't have the skills to advocate for their kids or had so much going on in their own lives that they just couldn't, like it was just one extra thing, you know, it was just too much on their plate, that we were like, well, since we know you're not going to fight, this is the easy way for us to get subs. We're going to pull our special ed teachers. So apparently that's happening everywhere because it's in the book as well. And it's just super unfortunate. And I think it's not just that one situation, but it's when you purposely act differently towards certain populations of students because of what you know about their parents. That is not okay. It's a huge ethical issue for me. And so, yeah, I think that that's the stuff that gets me heated, is like when I feel like things are not ethical. Okay, another thing that's being discussed that I want to comment on is school shootings. So when I was first going to school for teaching and when I first started, basically you were always taught to like keep your door open and make sure that any windows near the door are like don't have posters or anything on them so you can see through them, just because you want to protect yourself and you want to make sure that what you're doing in your classroom is always visible so you aren't accused of anything. And now that has kind of fallen to the wayside because now it's more important that you have your door locked at all time and your windows covered, so that if there were a shooter, it would be less likely that they would know that you were in your classroom or something like that. Like you could quickly shut your door and be locked in there if you needed to be, which brings me to a whole nother topic about Alice training, which I'm not going to get into right now, that basically locking yourself in the room is not the best way to handle things. But what else was I going to say about that? Hang on. Oh, I remember. I was in a situation once at another school where a child had a loaded gun in their locker and nobody was told about it. The teachers were not told. There was no like official communication between the school and us to let us know about it and how the situation was solved. There was no police involvement. The child was not even sent home. Oh, and the reasoning, by the way, was because the school didn't want to look bad. Hello everyone, day 2, it is Tuesday. I'm off to work early because every Tuesday we have a meeting. It's called late start because the kids start an hour late, but actually the teachers have to be there a bit early. So we have to be at work at 7:50 instead of 8:05. And then we have a meeting until 9:05 and then kids start school. So anyway, I'm gonna go to that. Breakfast is provided for us by the parents, which is amazing. And yeah, I'm just feeling a lot more like put together today. My apartment is clean except for the hot mess of clothes and stuff in my bedroom because I'm doing like this huge like closet organization unhaul situation. But yeah, I just feel a lot better today. And today also, I had the kids pick wishes. They had 4 wishes, I think, for the end of the school year. And they basically wrote their wishes on like little stars. And the rules were that it couldn't cost money and it couldn't interfere with academics. And so all the kids wrote like random ways that we could make our classroom fun between the start of May and the end of the school year. And then each week I pull 5 of those wishes and then schedule them for a day so the kids know ahead of time what the day is. And today's play outside day. So we're gonna be doing reading and math outside today. And it's like absolutely gorgeous out, so it should be a good day for that. Oh my gosh, it's like 7:20 in the morning and already I have short sleeves on and it feels perfectly fine. This is so nice. Spring is here. Okay, so the day is done. It is 3:39 right now. And basically, I've been taking this class called Letters, which teaches teachers how to use a speech to print, brain-based approach to teaching reading. Basically, it's been mostly review, some new stuff, but it has been killing me because you have so many webinars you have to do, plus you have a textbook that you have to read from, plus you have all these modules online you have to do. And the good thing though is that I finally finished 1 and 2, which means that I can apply for 3 graduate credit hours. And I thought that they were like a lot of money, like over 700 total for 3 credit hours, which honestly for college credits is like not expensive, but it's just like a lot of money for me to pay. But they must have changed it or something, because basically it's only $100 per class if you want the credit hours. If you don't want them, then, you know, it's free because our school paid for it. But yeah, $100 out of pocket for 3 credit hours. So basically, I finished 1 and 2 and I'm gonna submit for those 3 credit hours. And then 3 and 4 I'm working on right now, and I'm almost done with the classes. I just have to do all this stupid online stuff. But then I'm hoping to be able to get 3 more credit hours by the summer, and then I only have 2 more credit hours to be able to move to like my years of experience, but the top of our salary schedule, which is master's plus 30 credit hours beyond a master's. So I'm hoping that in the fall I'll be able to take like basically sessions 5 and 6 and get the last 3 credits, which is 1 more than I technically need. But yeah, then next year be at the very top that's possible for me. So that is just amazing. Like, I'm glad that I think this will work out. Yeah, because if you took a college class, like basically for 9 credits, it will cost me $300, and a normal college class would be like a few thousand per class. So yeah, anyway, that's the thing that's bringing me joy today. On a walk after work, and I was gonna listen to Demon Copperhead while I was on this walk. However, when I arrived to the park, I realized that my headphones were completely dead. So that's not gonna work. But anyway, I found out yesterday, along with everyone else, that it won the Pulitzer. And I think that's really cool that like an Appalachian author finally won, because I guess that was the first Appalachian author to win. Plus Barbara Kingsolver is just a legend. She's amazing. I met her a few years ago. I have a signed copy of Demon Copperhead, but she has a hand condition, so she can't sign, so she just sent a recipe instead. I started listening to the book last night, even though I have a print copy, and so far I really like it, and it also feels relevant and not necessarily relatable, but like I know similar people to the main character of the story. Whenever I see old foundations and stuff like this, I'm just always curious about like what used to be here. Okay, I actually didn't notice this before, the off trail, you can see like old cement and then more foundations up here. So remember earlier in the week when I said like, oh, I never have to sub. I have to sub today. I'm so bad at showing like what we get for Teacher Appreciation Week. We got the snack little bags that I did film. Then we got a $5 gift card to Starbucks from our union. Then the next day we got donuts. The next day, gosh, what was yesterday? Oh, we had like a popcorn situation in the lounge with like popcorn and toppings for the popcorn. And then today we got a little gift bag. I don't know what's in it yet, but a pen, always handy. A little pouch. Looks like it has soap, chapstick, and lotion. And a passport. Oh, a little notebook. Winners are not people who never fail, but people who never quit. And a little card, so hang on. You make a profound difference with a little seashell charm. I just talked to myself walking down the sidewalk for a really long time and didn't record it. So I just picked up 2 books that Heather mentioned at the end of her zine. The book of 3, which when I was a kid, I had the whole collection of these from the Scholastic book order, because as a teacher, my mom would order books and then use her points to buy me even more books. So I would have like Christmas or birthday or whatever, and I would just get like 50 or more books, like a number that no one could ever actually read. So if there is a book buying situation that I have, I blame my mom. She started me early. Anyway, then the book Cove as well. So that's super short. That would be good for Shorty September. However, I want to read it first because it was on her, in her zine. So I want to make sure I get to these books before I go to Wales. But here's what I'm thinking. This teacher book that I'm reading, which is in my backpack, is getting a bit old. Like, I'm kind of bored with it. Basically, like, I am a teacher. So nothing in the book that I've read has been shocking, surprising. Like, I'm not learning more about what life is like for teachers because I have been in situations basically that everyone so far in the book has talked about. My battery is almost dead. So it's nothing new to me. And then I'm like working all day and then coming home and reading about teaching again when I've just been teaching all day. Like, I just don't think that I'm the intended audience. Like, it doesn't make me feel seen. It doesn't shock me or surprise me. So, the book is interesting, and I love books that are written by journalists, but I'm just not sure who would enjoy reading it. Maybe like a parent who has a kid in school but doesn't really understand what school is actually like, or wants a behind the scenes look about what school is like. I don't know, but just like as a teacher, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. I'm not interested in reading about it after school. So I'm going to take my sticky notes out and just abandon it. But tonight should be fun. I am going to my other job and I signed up for this birding event. Basically, this lady got fired, I think, or laid off from her job, and didn't really know what to do, what the next steps were. So she just decided that she was gonna like travel for birding, but like inexpensively because she was broke, you know? And she just like started doing that and then found more and more birds. And someone was mentioning about doing a big year, which I guess is where you try and find as many birds as you can in a single year. And she just kind of accidentally fell into doing that and ended up getting like winning. Like, I don't know, I'm not a birder, I don't know how it goes, but like, oh, my hands are so sweaty, my phone is slipping. She ended up getting like the most birds that year or something. And so she's coming to speak at my other job, and she also talks about women in nature, which I think will be the most interesting part to me. Just about how women have to consider safety more than men, and how we need more supplies and more things to keep us safe than men do. And she has partnered with an alarm company. I can't remember what the name of the alarm is, but I believe she gives it out for free to women birders, or just women who are outdoorsy, just to try and like keep them safe and have an alarm that they could alert people with if they were in trouble. So I think that part of the presentation will be really interesting. However, I have been recently asking questions and just like seeing what people will give me as an answer. And because I'm trying to get more money for my trip, I was like, hey, I'm coming to this anyway. I'm going to this event anyway. Do you guys need any help? So I will actually be working in the event now. Not really like before, but like afterwards. I'm going to help clean up and get ready for the next event. So it's 7 to 8:30. So I'll be there quite late, moving all the chairs and getting it ready for the event that's tomorrow. And then this is about 45 minutes from my house. So I'm gonna get back way later than I normally go to bed, but it'll be good. DNFing so many books right now. Like, I don't remember the last book I actually finished, but another one bites the dust.
Most other countries. So there's some kind of glass ceiling happening here, and at least.
Good morning, you guys. Okay, that thing I went to last night was so cool. So the speaker's name was Tiffany Kirsten, and basically she completed a big year, which is apparently, I just learned this like a few weeks ago, where you try and find as many species of birds as you can over the course of a year. So what happened for her was she basically went on this trip or guiding. I don't really remember, but she started seeing a lot of birds in January, and she kind of noticed that she was at the top of this leaderboard on eBird, which is like a birding app. And so because at the time she was unemployed and was applying for jobs but not getting anywhere, and basically like was just trying to keep busy and do something, and all her passions had been taken away from her because it was like during the pandemic. She was really into like ninja warrior training and different things like that. She was a member of 3 different gyms. They were all closed down. Like, she just needed an outlet for herself, and so birding turned out to be it. And yeah, when she noticed that she was at the top of the leaderboard, she started having a lot of people be like, hey, are you doing a big year? She's like, no. Well, anyway, she ended up deciding to do a big year. And her goal was to get over 700 because I don't really remember why. And then she ended up getting over 725, which was the record at the time. And she just kept going. And I think she ended up with 745 or 46, and ended up like setting the record for birding, like, of all time. And I don't know, I think this is only like a US Canada record. I'm sure that there are people probably that have done it internationally and found more. I'm not 100% sure, because birding is not 100% my jam, although it is something I'm curious about. But yeah, it was just really cool to hear her story and the adventure of her trying to find another bird, and she would like hop on a plane just to see one bird, and then she started like keeping track of like how much each bird cost her to find, because she's unemployed, so obviously she's trying really hard to spend as little money as possible. But she's also a sexual abuse survivor and sexual assault survivor, and so she also got involved in this company called Birdie Alarms, and she was raising money while she was doing her big year and handing out alarms to women that she encountered, and yeah, just really like passing along safety and this conversation too about being able to be bold as a woman and being free to do what you want to do. And she kind of discussed throughout her talk about her sexual assault, and about the ways that women have a more difficult time being outdoorsy. And like, for example, one of them was a really good example about how there's like a tax to be a woman. She was trying to get somewhere and she needed a place to stay overnight, and there were no campsites because of the wind and the weather. It was just not good, whatever. And so she had a choice for 2 Airbnbs. They were both around $50, but both were run by just like a single guy, and that was not something that she felt comfortable with. And then the only other hotel she could find was a jacuzzi suite, which was like $212 for the night. And so she went with the jacuzzi suite, even though it was not something she could afford, because it was something that made her feel a lot safer than the Airbnbs that were run by men. And so she discussed how, you know, women have to spend so much more money just traveling or with gear that will keep them safe when they're outdoors solo, and how we always have to balance this. Am I like going on this adventure, or am I being stupid? Yeah, and it was just like really empowering and really interesting to hear her speak. And then because I work there, I got, you know, more access, whatever. She was really cool. She's like just the coolest lady. I really enjoyed hearing from her. So yeah, that was really cool. We had a conversation afterwards with 2 male coworkers, her and myself, just about the different ways that she opened the men's eyes to how they need to treat women. And it was really interesting. At the end of the night, one of the guys I worked with went way overboard and like had his life changed by her apparently, and he like felt the need to walk me out to my car because the exit door we leave from is in a bit of a dimly lit situation. So I was like, thank you, I got this. There's this line between wanting to do your part to be a feminist and make sure that women have a place, and then there's a point of going too far and like almost treating them like children. Anyway, I'm off to work. It's Friday. Today is taco bar for Teacher Appreciation Week, and I will talk to you guys soon. Okay, before I wrap this up, I just want to quickly talk about an activity I did with my kids today. So we were supposed to learn about stem and leaf plots. And so basically I need to like create some sort of data that they can keep track of. And basically what ended up happening, which I really like teaching when it's like so many different levels of meaning and stuff like that are in there. I ended up telling them about the event I went to last night, the birding thing. And we basically had a competition trying to beat Tiffany at her big year by going outside and actually looking for birds. But then every time they actually found a bird, I would use a random number generator and we would say like, oh, this bird is now worth like this many birds. Like if you saw 1 and the random number generator said like 26, then we'd be like, oh, you found 26 birds. And then they had to write that on their stem and leaf plot, and they were just keeping track of how many birds they saw each time or whatever. And then we also kind of talked about birding, and I used this app to, like, there were times when we could hear birds but we couldn't see them, and so I would pull out the app and we would listen to the sound, which is kind of like mindfulness and stuff, right? And then we would use the app to see what type of bird it was, so then they would learn that this sound is actually this type of bird. And it was just really fun, and we only did it for a very, very short time, but I'm hoping that next week I can do it for longer, because I think the kids really enjoyed it. Like, they're doing math, but they're also learning about birds and learning about a new hobby that they may or may not have access to based on the people that they're surrounded with and the connections they have. All right, so that's a wrap on Teacher Appreciation Week. It was epic. Had really good tacos for lunch today. And yeah, the rest of the school year should be quite a breeze. We really only have 2 weeks left, and then we have Memorial Day, which kind of breaks up the week into a much shorter time period. 6th grade camp is around the corner. Our official last day of school is June 16, but I feel like we just have a lot of fun stuff to do until then.